All right, so I'll say that one more time. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cool Tools in Education. I'm your facilitator, Dr. Justin Zephyrine, and I'm happy that you're here. We're going to explore a couple of technology tools this afternoon during the course of this webinar. And the thing about these tools, they're really meant to fold very easily into your teaching and learning practices. And I'll explain in just a bit what Cool Tools is all about. I'm seeing some very familiar names here. I'm seeing Charmin, I'm seeing Sharon Juggernaut, Sharon Phillip, I'm seeing Calcia, I'm seeing Papaya, and a couple participants as well. Happy to have you here. And and I'm looking at the chat. Yes, definitely, we're ready to go. All right, so let's get straight into it. If you know me, I like to start with a nice little icebreaker. So I'm just putting two links, two questions in the chat. So you're going to click on one of those and it's going to take you to a new page. And that new page will present a question. You don't necessarily have to put your name or you don't have to use a pseudonym. It's up to you. But definitely, if you can answer the question, that will be most appreciated. And it's just to kind of get us into the flow of things, all right? I like to call it an icebreaker or a bridging, so to speak. And for those of you in CETL, those of you going through CETL, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you yet to go in CETL, to go through CETL, you're kind of getting a sort of orientation. Let's call it that for now. So anyway, so we have this little activity. And you've been using technology tools. Many of you have been using whether it's My Learning, Blackboard Collaborate, Zoom. We had a couple different Zoom sessions over the past couple of weeks or months with Mr. Mohammed. So I know you've been using Zoom, you've been using My Learning, you may have been using several other tools. So how comfortable were you in using those tools in your educational context? Most of you, 82% said, yes, you are comfortable or you were comfortable using those tools. Okay, it's changing now, 79%, and we still have 14% of you were not comfortable and 7% said, I'm not too sure. All right, okay. Now, Poll Everywhere is one of the tools this same tool, I'm going to show you how to build this into how to use it and how to incorporate it into your teaching and learning practices as well. So this is one of the tools. I just decided to use it to show you one of the ways in which it can be folded in, all right, to your instruction. So in addition to that, what are some of the hindrances or issues or hiccups that you encountered in using technology in your educational context? Somebody said integrations with LMS, with My Learning. Okay, when someone else sets up the Zoom meeting, I can't do. That's a good one. I'm not sure who said that. You could just put an indicator a thumbs up in the chat. When someone uses Zoom or sets up the Zoom meeting room, you only have certain privileges. Yeah, Charmin, yes, and that is definitely something that it's an issue. But this same tool that I'm going to show you, Poll Everywhere, helps you work around that. So you wouldn't even need to use Zoom polls. You could do a lot more with Poll Everywhere. And I'll show you that in just a bit. Staying online for 3 hours, right? Do you put a break in between by chance or no? For the person who said staying online for 3 hours. Chris said you can't copy paste from Zoom chat. Yes, because you end up copying either the whole chat or it's very difficult to copy one little thing. Yes. Not having go ahead.
Justin, so I'm the person who said staying online is a hindrance. Yes, I do have like a short a break between the different types of activities, but it's still challenging because even though I put the students into breakout rooms or I have an activity for them to do, I still have to be online because I have to monitor what's happening. So yeah.
Yes, you're definitely right, especially if it's a large class. And it is difficult. It is difficult. I have found in some instances, I sometimes have to just stand up and give instructions over if my camera is off. I would stand just to, you know, stretch the limbs a little bit, you know, stretch your back a little bit, etc. But if you do a break, you don't necessarily have to stay there. If you give them a break, let's say a 10-minute break, you could also use that time for, you know, to walk around, get some water and so on as well. If you have an assistant, I don't know if you have that or not, but even if you don't, you can delegate someone in the class, a student in the class, to be that assistant, because that makes them feel more of a part of the experience. So you can definitely do that, and so that person can be there to monitor things even during the break. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, you make them more part of the process, and it can be 1 or 2 students. It doesn't have to be a whole 10 students, but at least it takes less pressure on you. That person, you can let them know, okay, you could monitor the chat while I deliver the instructions. So, you know, that person gets a feel of what it's like, and you get to relax. Well, not relax, but it eases up the burden on you. All right. I see we have a raised hand. I'm not sure who it is. This is
It's me, Sarah. It's Sharon Dharma. I was just going to say, I agree with that. And even when I teach face-to-face, I tend to plan 45 to 50-minute blocks of teaching time.
Exactly.
So that there's some kind of downtime, because, you know, I've read a lot about the primacy recency effect, and the brain only can function on one activity for so long. So I tend to break it up. Even in the online session, I get up and I take a stretch, because it's difficult for them as well, not just us, but them to stay focused.
Yeah.
So that is a real big problem with the 3-hour block, and I found that breaking it up into smaller segments works well.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Sharon. Sometimes you could even take it like a 5-minute every hour if it's a 3-hour thing, or you might just have an hour and 20 minutes, and then you take a break and then go to another hour and 20 minutes or so. But you definitely, like what Sharon said, I like that suggestion, Sharon, because I do it as well, that even though you have 3 hours, you don't plan to fill up the 3 hours with instruction. You want to make sure you have enough time to be flexible, if you know, to have a break, if you have some disruptions, technological disruptions, etc. And all those things, they help to not the easy burden or the strain of the online platform. Keep in mind too, there's Maya's laws of, not laws, but guidelines in multimedia material or online teaching and learning. You know, the attention span is very, you know, the brain could only process little bits of multimedia information at a time. So all of that you want to take into consideration, but that's more of a, like an instructional design aspect, and we'll get into that as well. But just a little bit in this particular session. Yes, okay, good, very good. And so, you know, you want to keep that, and I think Mr. Mohammed is here as well, so that's good. So thumbs up, Javed. All right, and so, you know, today we're going to look at some of these tools, a little bit of instructional design, a little bit of Maya's and other learning theories as well, and some of the benefits and the ways in which these tools can be folded into your instructional practices. All right, namely, we're going to look at some of these tools, Poll Everywhere, Flipsnack, Bubblus, and maybe if we have time, we might even sneak in or slip in an extra tool, who knows? Maybe Mr. Mohammed might have something in his pocket that he might be quick and easy to show. I don't know. It depends on how much time we have and so on. I'm just putting him on the spot, by the way. But anyway, so let's get straight into it. So what are cool tools in education? I don't know if I should have put a little shades on that little, you know, a little emoji with a shades there, but cool tools. Well, first of all, cool tools are fresh. When we think of fresh, we think of contemporary. You know, it's something that is modern. It's something that is not antiquated. It's not, you're not going to use a technology tool that was existing, let's say 25, 30 years ago. You're going to use something very contemporary, very modern, very fresh, very 21st century. So for example, if you were to, for however you're going to do it, if you were to mention high five to some of your current students, they probably wouldn't even know what that is. All right. Anyone knows what high five is by chance? John just left the session. Right, Papaya, you know, right, high five, right, those days. So, you know, even now, Facebook is somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Is a little bit outdated by some measures. Yeah, even though Facebook is still one of the biggest or largest social media platforms, it's outdated. Yeah, it's been existing for quite some time. But when we think of fresh, we think of contemporary. So things like you know, TikTok is something that has emerged now within the past couple of years. Of course, you have your Instagram, your Twitter, YouTube, all these different things. So think of you're not going to use High Five or Messenger, or what's another one? Anybody could name some of them. Those are some of, that's what I could remember right now. But, you know, so cool tools, you must be fresh. You can't be cool and, you know, outdated. All right. Easy to use. ICQ, yes, great. Yes. Or WebCT at one point in time, I know the university, but Sharon, you might know the university used WebCT at one point in time. So that version of WebCT, if you picture it, not picture us using that version of WebCT in a current context. I don't know how that would fly, right? Cool tools are also easy to use, all right? So they're user-friendly. You know, back in the day, you had technology tools that were useful, but not user-friendly. So I wouldn't identify different names, but you had different platforms that were not as easy to use or were not very user-friendly. And so it hindered first of all, the tools weren't flexible, so you couldn't really bend and twist them to your liking. They required a lot of work or preparation to use, but you know, so cool tools, now that we're in the 21st century, a lot of the round the town kind of, you know, the long ways and the hindrances with regard to usability are now mitigated. In fact, when designing technology tools, ICTs, that's one of the things that people look at. It's one of the criteria, right? So, or criterion, sorry. So it's one criterion, sorry, that people may use when designing learning websites or technology tools. It must be user-friendly, easy for you and for your students to use. The other thing is that cool tools must enhance the teaching and learning process, because remember, it's cool tools in education. So if it's not serving to improve, increase engagement or improve retention, then it's probably not, you know, you don't want to just use technology tools for using them sake. They must serve or be used in such a way to enhance the teaching and learning process. Think of it, everyone, like food, all right? Think of it like food. I'll give one example. If you were, let's say we were to compare Royal Castle with KFC, all right? They're both fresh, hopefully, right? They both sell fresh produce. However, one might be easy to access because that's part of usability. So KFC, you have a branch of KFC almost everywhere, right? Whereas Royal Castle, you may not have that, or Church's Chicken or Popeyes, you may not have that compared to KFC. In terms of enhancing well, let's say in this case, satisfying hunger, one might be more effective than the other. It's about preference there, but you get what I'm saying. So, and if we apply it to different aspects, let's say vehicles. One vehicle might be more contemporary than another vehicle. Some vehicles might be easier to use than others, yeah? And they may be effective in taking you from point A to point B comfortably. All right, so think of it like that. So cool tools are the same way. They're fresh. In other words, they're modern, contemporary. They're easy to use. In other words, they're easy to access. They're functional. They are even attractive, if you want to say that. And three, they enhance the teaching and learning process. All right, now, why should we use cool tools in education? Why? We've been teaching for a while. You know, we have been at it. And why are we prompted to use cool tools in education? Well, first things first, we have the prevalence of digital natives or certain, I wouldn't even say millennials, because it's expanded now to centennials, to different types of learners, who don't know life without multimedia, don't know life, they do not know life, or I should say we, do not know life without technology. So it's difficult to, well, I shouldn't say difficult, it's unusual to receive and process information without any sort of technological mediation. Yeah, so think of it like this. We're surrounded with social media, for example, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, you know, social media, mobile apps, etc., etc. A simple thing like YouTube, Wikipedia, most students, I'm sure you know that you have, would quicker go to YouTube, Wikipedia, or just do a Google search to find out some bit of information. Is that so or no? You could tell me. You could use your mics as well. Yeah? Have you ever seen when the student creates a reference list, they put Wikipedia, and sometimes you have to tell them Wikipedia is not a valid site? No? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's like literally the click of a finger, the click of a button, sorry, and we live in an information age. That's what it is. So your students do not, or our students do not know life without technology. And so we have to use technology now to sort of guide them, to take them from the known to the unknown, to really learn. All right. Added to that, with the university context, you know, there's also what we have, the policy for blended learning. There's also, well, now it's evolved into multimodal policy. So, you know, let's say a couple years ago, we were predominantly face-to-face in terms of instruction and course delivery and so on. So you only had to register online through Banner, but courses were taught in the face-to-face classroom. So you would go, you would teach your classes on in whatever auditoriums on campus. Students would find difficulty to park, and I think you would get difficulty to park in some instances. And you deliver this lecture for however long, 2 hours, 3 hours, in a face-to-face brick and mortar context. With the web, with the blended context, so that's just in between, in the middle of this continuum you see here, web enhanced and web enabled. It's right in between, so that's a blended mode of delivery. And so that's a mixture of both online and face-to-face. So you might deliver courses face-to-face, but you have some online material or online activities and instructions. All right, so that's blended. And we had a policy on blended learning. I think that was from 2011, 2010, somewhere there. And then we have on the extreme right side of this graphic, web delivered. Now, web delivered is basically 100% online. You can use, a good example of that is when we were in the emergency remote or remote teaching and learning, it was 100% online. Many courses and programs now, since then, within our university, within our campus context, for example, or university context, many courses and programs have been evolved or are being, are in the process of converting permanently to online delivery. All right, so, and I think that's one of the benefits of this whole pandemic and emergency remote teaching and learning, because persons have been forced to see, I guess, the advantages of online instruction. Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight the different modes of delivery. And these tools that we are going to look at today can be applied in any of these contexts. Yeah, but I want you to remember, according to the Consortium of Learning, that technology is just a tool. That's why it's called cool tools. All right, so you're not gonna, the emphasis is not on, yes, I use the technology and I feel good, which is good, but remember, it's supposed to aid or enhance the teaching and learning process. So you might use a contemporary technology or a fresh tool. You might use something that is easy to use, but if it doesn't enhance the teaching and learning process, then, you know, it's kind of, you know, all right. So you want to keep that in mind. that technology is just a tool. Think of it like this. If you have a vehicle, sorry, not a vehicle, if you need to get to the airport in Piarco, what would be the best tool or means to get there? Would it be a plane? Would it be a bicycle? So you're going to ride on the highway to the airport. Would it be what else? A car or a boat? Or would you walk to the airport? So remember, the technology is just a tool, and you now have to determine which is the most appropriate tool to use given your objectives and so on. So this brings me to what we call a systematic approach. And Sharon, I know this should ring a bell because you were part of that project many years ago. So, all right, so when we think of a systematic approach, we're thinking really of asking yourself some questions. When you think of the curriculum goals, what are you going to teach? In other words, what is the content about? What even some of the learning outcomes? Yeah. What do you want students to be able, your learners to do by the end of your session or your course or your module or whatever it might be? What is the pedagogical approach you're going to use? So in other words, you know what you're going to teach, but how are you going to teach it? So in other words, the airport, you know that you have to get to the airport. How are you going to get there? Then, of course, what technology skills you need your learners to develop? Because we live in the 21st century, and it's 21st century education now. So it's not just important that they learn the content. They also have to develop ICT skills, critical thinking skills. Think of the distinctive UE graduate. That's what it's based on. All right. And of course, you need to find the right technology tools to facilitate or complement the learning activities and or assessments. So it's about fitness for purpose, yeah, or appropriation. Another thing to consider would be certain tenets of instructional design. So for example, the kinds of learners you have, or the instructional context, the kinds of learners you have. Are they millennials? Are they mature learners? The context. Do you have internet access wherever you might be delivering your instruction from? What are the learning objectives, as I mentioned before, the assessments and activities? And all of these are part of what we call good teaching and learning, according to Chickering and Gamson. Again, according to these two persons, interaction is key because that enhances engagement and increases retention. So you want to make sure that is on point. Feedback, all of that is an active learning. So it's not just where you do all the talking and students just sit and listen. They have to be part of the process. So Papaya and Sharon, as we mentioned earlier, where we spoke of letting students take the lead on certain things and delegating things, all of that is part of the active learning experience. All right. Any questions so far? Any questions about cool tools or what makes a cool tool a cool tool? Okay, I'm seeing any chat. All good so far. Okay, good, nice. So let's get straight into it. Oh, I forgot this part, my bad. So, when we think of cool tools, of course, I wouldn't say it's just about constructivism and so on, but also what we call connectivism. And that's digital age learning theory. So the cool tools that we're going to look at today have a bit of I think if you say connectivism, that would cover constructivism as well, because it's built off of that as well. So they must allow for collaboration, they must allow for interaction, they must allow for active learning and that sort of thing. All right. So the first tool we're going to look at today, but we already looked at it from a surface level, is Poll Everywhere. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Poll Everywhere. Poll Everywhere is a web-based platform that allows you to create polls, championships or competitions, word clouds, based on, it's basically driven by students' responses. All right. Now, I like this tool a lot because it's so dynamic in the ways in which you could use it. the ways in which you can engage your learners. And it's free, of course, for the most part. So we always like that. So some of the benefits include, you don't need any hardware. First of all, you don't need a headset. You don't need, all you need is internet and a computer, obviously. You don't need, you know, a couple years ago, you would need clickers to get students' responses. So you have to show a picture on the screen or whatnot. And then students have to purchase, or you have to purchase clickers for students so they could send their responses in. No, you don't have to do that anymore. All right. Everyone, for the most part, has a mobile device, whether it's a tablet, a phone, or laptop. So once they're online and they have a device, they can post their responses, just as you did earlier in this session for the icebreaker. You can integrate it into your PowerPoint like I did earlier. So I'll show you that. And of course, it increases engagement and retention because it's driven by students' responses. And of course, you could comment along the way. In some cases, it fosters collaboration and or competition, pleasant, polite, friendly competition. All right, and I'll show you all of that in just a bit. And of course, like I said, it's free. So let's go straight, into poll everywhere. So I'm gonna type the link in the chat. Let me just get it for you. So you're gonna go to polleverywhere.com. I'll paste it in the chat. So you can click on that link and it will take you straight to Poll Everywhere. It'll take you to a page that where you have to obviously log in. All right. So you can, and even if you're not logged in, you never created an account, you're gonna do that now. So you're gonna click on login and insert your email or username. So let me share my screen here. All right, so you're gonna type in your email address, and you could use your staff email address if you'd like, or personal email address, whichever one you can remember, and log in accordingly. All right. So once you do that, you click next, which is the blue button right underneath. And let me just make sure is everyone in the login page. Yeah, you could use your mic. Okay, great. So you click next. All right. Uh-oh. Let me go back a bit.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask about, actually.
Sorry, my bad. So let's go to this link. You need to create your account first. All right, so just type the link there, and that will take you to this page. All right, so everyone is in this page with sign up and login. It's at the top right side. And you're gonna click on sign up. You click on sign up. And it's gonna take you to a page. Let me just make sure I could see. Right. It's going to take you to a page where it looks something like this. Either you're a presenter or a participant. You could click presenter for now. And from there, you're going to insert your first name, your last name, your email address, and password. All right, so your first name, you know, Justin, last name, whatever, email, whatever it might be. But you can use your staff email or you can use a personal email. I think I was saying that earlier. Whichever one is easier for you to remember. And of course, a password, you could use the same password that is linked to that specific email. All right. All right. Let me know if you get any complications. So once you do that, you insert your first name, your last name, your email, and password. You take the terms and conditions. All right. You don't have to click, I would like to receive communications from Poland, because you're going to get a lot of, you're going to get emails with any sort of advertisements they have. So you just need, I've read the terms and conditions, and you click sign up. All right. So you could tell me where you're at now. Is everyone, you've created your account?
Yes, and it asked what type of work. So I clicked higher education, and now
Nice.
I'm on a page with 3 tiles to the left of word cloud.
Okay, great. So you're good. You're good. All right. Anybody else? Sharon, Raquel.
I logged in already.
Oh, you logged in already. Okay, good. Alana, Calicia, Roger.
Yes, I
Okay,
think
ready?
I just joined in with the Google account.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it
yes.
just went straight.
All right. Well, you're good to go, man. All right. All right. So let me log in as well. I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay, and we're good to go. So let me just, in fact, you know what? Let me stop sharing here and just go straight to this page. Okay, so once you click on, you should see the, okay, well, let me log back in. Just give me 1 sec, please. So once you get into, all right, good. Just go back and share my screen. You should see a page that looks something like this. Now, you may not have all of the details here, but let me just explain it to you. So you're gonna have something that looks like this. You're gonna see home at the top left side, close to the top there. All right, and you're gonna have a couple things, little bits of information there. So this is your default response URL. So all your URLs are gonna have something like this. It's gonna be based on the name, your username, so to speak, or the email, and some numbers. And you can always edit it after that. You don't have to keep that. But what I want you to do is you would see a plus, an activity and a plus sign right here. Yeah. So I want you to click on plus activity. That's right here. And you can ignore this, ask me later, right? And you're gonna see some options here at the top of the page. You're gonna see multiple choice, word cloud, Q&A, clickable image, survey, open-ended competition, and a whole lot more. So for now, let's click multiple choice, all right? And then we'll go to word cloud and so on. Okay, thank you so much. So let's click on multiple choice. It's already there by default. And you're gonna type a question. You could make up that whatever question you may like. Did you have lunch yet? And you could just say, did you have lunch? All right, and we could just say Yes or no. If, however, you needed to add a question, all right, you could simply click add option. And of course, another option comes in. I do not know. All right. But I'm hungry. All right. So I'm just playing this. So once you do that, now you could click add another activity, but we're not going to do that now. We're just going to click create. All right. You click create. It's at the bottom. It's a big blue button. And there you have it. Did you have lunch today? Yes or no? I don't know, but I'm hungry. Now, there are a couple things here. You would see on the right side, now everyone created their question. Yes or no? You can just hit a thumbs up or say yes in the chat if you did. All right, good. You see how easy it is, right? So you've just created your first poll. So let's, before we send it out, let's make sure we verify the response settings. So how can people respond? I always like to review it just to make sure nothing has changed. So persons can respond. Again, we see the response link. So as long as the poll is active. All right. In some contexts, let's say you were to go abroad and they don't have internet, but they have a mobile service. They could do that there as well. They could text to your thing, but I usually don't use that. I just use a link. And then we may want to, just verify if there are any restrictions or not. I usually don't have any. And then response settings. This is important. So you probably want just one person to respond. Well, person to respond once. All right. As opposed to changing the responses too many times. All right. So that normally stays as default. You don't have to change that. I'm just showing you how to tweak those things. Now, the other thing is you could share, how to make allow persons to share or participate in your poll. Now, you have this little button at the top here. You can get it through several different avenues, but you have this little button at the top here. All right. It's a sort of drop down arrowhead, and you can simply click copy link. Now, one of the updates that Poll Everywhere has, in fact, this share button is actually one of the updates they've made to their platform. Before you had to go through different parts of the site to get the shareable link. Now it's right there. So once you create it, it's there, the response link, but you can also embed it into your, let's say your course site, your My Learning site. That's another way that you can use it. But I'd like to use Poll Everywhere in a synchronous setting, because then you are able to narrate and explain the results as they come in. I find it works best in a synchronous setting. All right. So anyway, so we click the copy link. All right. And you would get the verification right there, response link, copy to clipboard. And I want you now to post it in the chat. And you will always know it's a response link because you would see respond at the end of the link. Like there's a respond handle. All right. So I'm sharing this link now. So I shared it with all right. So you could share your link now, and we can verify if it's right. So I'm seeing that someone responded 100. Oh, you guys are good. You guys had lunch already. Okay, nice. I should ask what you had for lunch. All right. Nadia, you put yours. So let's test yours and see. All right. Let me just copy that link. And 1 sec. All right, so let's see that link, Nadia. Good. So I can skip. And do you want to pursue? Oh, chemistry, Nadia. I'll say No for now. All right, Robert, let's see yours. I'm copying yours. And anybody, you can let us know if you get any, if you're getting if you see the responses live as they come in. So Nadia, I just clicked yours. And how was your day? Good. So Robert, you should be able to see that as well. Dion, let's try yours. And just so you know, so you see how it works, I could say Jay-Z and continue. Did you have lunch? Yes. Well, technically no, but that's okay, but you get the gist of it. So right, so we have some experience in creating our polls, but there's more, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go back to create. So now we know how to create a multiple choice question. So let's say if you wanted, just like what I did earlier in this session as the icebreaker, I wanted to get it functioned as a diagnostic or some sort of pre-assessment. So I know, okay, you all have used technology tools in your teaching context. Some people were uncomfortable using them. Some people encountered various issues. So you could, and I was able to do that as an icebreaker, and it also provided me with the necessary information so I could navigate in the most appropriate way in terms of delivering the session. So let's go back to activities. At the top left side, you would see this word activities. You could click there. All right, and it's going to show you all of the activities that you created. In this case, it might just be one. All right, now, as you see here, I have a whole bunch of activities that I've created and pulled everywhere. So it lets you know, it's just to let you know how much you could actually create in this platform. So let's go back to create another activity. So at the top of that page, you're going to see the activity plus button. And now we're going to create a word cloud, right? Because this one is pretty interesting too. It's very graphically or visually pleasing. So let's click word cloud. And all you need to do for this is type one question. All right. Let's say how was lunch for you? All right. Once you type your question, you simply click create. And there you have it. Now the response, the settings normally remain the same at the side here. All right. So you don't necessarily have to change it, but you always want to check just to verify that everything is the same. All right. Then you simply click share, copy link. So I'm going a little faster now because I know you would have gone through it. And we'll do it one more time after this. Copy link, response link. Remember, the response link always has respond at the end. So you know it's a response link. And we can paste it in our chat. Papaya, you just right, good. So we're getting the hang of it. So let's see, Raquel, I'm copying yours. And let's see what this one is all about. Right, so let's just put Jay-Z for now. Yes, those are my initials. What type of food do you like? All, right? All right. Sharon, let's see yours. And at CETL, we like food, generally speaking. So what is your opinion on using Creole in the classroom? I think it is our mother tongue, our mother language. And Sharon, you probably know why I'm saying that. Pearl, all right, let me see yours, Pearl. And all right, Pearl, how was lunch for you? I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing anything to type there. So I don't know, but you should be seeing the word cloud on your end, everyone. Natalie, I think you posted a link, not so? So let's see this. So as persons respond, you should see the cloud. You wouldn't even have to refresh your page. The cloud should actually come up. So if I go back to my poll, so we have good, someone said good. And as it continues as more persons reply to it, let me share it again so you see what it looks like. So I'm gonna write, so somebody said tasty. Go ahead and you could reply. Okay, so remember to share, it's right at the top here at the top right side of your poll. So you click copy response link and then you paste it in the chat. Somebody said Moorish. Wow. Okay, so I guess you really had a great lunch. Now this can be presented either full screen or just as we have it here. It can also be presented through your PowerPoint, integrated into your PowerPoint, but I'm going to show you that in just a bit. Short, somebody said delish. Finger licking, I guess. Somebody said good. So I guess you had a really good lunch. Finger licking, Moorish. Somebody said, oh, I guess that's oh something. But you get what I'm saying. So you notice if the word cloud is getting bigger and more elaborate as more responses come in. All right. So that's another way. So another way, let's say you were to ask a question, you created a poll for students to, answer something. This is a good way for them to respond. But it's also, like I said, it's a collaborative thing almost because they're all helping to create this big word cloud. And the more responses they get, the more responses they input, the bigger the cloud gets. And in some cases, the more frequently they use a particular word, the bigger this word gets in the word cloud. So if many of you were to say good, then good would be the biggest word there, visually speaking, and you'll have the other words there. All right.
Hi, Justin. Excuse, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a limitation using the polls in terms of responses? Because I actually put oh finger licking good, but you were reading it as 3 different words.
So
is that a limitation?
Good. So it's not so much in terms of the limit here. It's so notice good came out big here. So it's more specifically because of the nature of the question. If it's a multiple word response, it breaks it up. Yeah. So where you put a phrase, oh finger licking good, I think you said, it would break it up into different responses.
Okay. All right. So
yes.
That's to just use.
Yeah, it's better to use one word responses. Yeah. But even if you use 2 word, I mean, I try to interpret it accordingly, but I mean, it works best for 1 word responses, the word cloud, that is, just the word cloud. But you have, if I were to ask the same question with an open-ended question format, you would see it would show, oh, finger licking good. So let's go back to creating another question. So we go back to activities at the top left side here. All right. And so this page is no stranger to you. So by now you should see at least 2 of the questions you just created on this this activity sheet, our activity homepage or dashboard. And you're going to click activity with the plus sign again. All right. And this time we're going to click open-ended. Open-ended. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. If you want to do question mark on it. And in this one, it's just like the word cloud, but just not as colorful and visual, So in a case like this, let's say if I were to ask the same question what are the ingredients in making
Ciao.
Oh, there we go. And now I'm feeling for chow. Okay, good. I like where this is going. So look, I created what are the ingredients in making a chow. And remember to share the top right side right here. And we click on that. And look, Mr. Muhammad is saying he wants chow now. So we're starting something here. I don't know how hot we want it, but we just want chow. And I think, Mr. Muhammad, this is like the second time we're talking about chow today. Eh? I think in the conversations this morning, we had something, we did mention chow, Pomerak chow. Anyway, so back to the workshop. So we paste the link, right? Chris, you're good at it. You beat me to it. Nice. And notice what we have here. So if you respond to, if you respond to my link or anybody's link, you should see the responses come in live. So somebody said pepper. I think that's Mr. Muhammad. All right. Right. Mango. So now, and you can put multi-word responses here too, because this is an open-ended question. It's not a word cloud. Shadow Benny, right. Yeah, you must have Shadow Benny in it. Right, many people said salt. Ketchup and chow. Somebody has to explain that to me, man. I mean, ketchup and chow, I don't know. I don't know if I'm missing something there. Alana, you know ketchup, or Kevin, you know about ketchup and chow?
Yes, I hear people do that.
Okay. I've never tried it. I mean, I can't hate it until I try it. So, you know, garlic, yes, that's important. And must. What trouble is this? Must. Cucumber, good. Pineapple, maybe. All right, good. Black pepper. And you notice you see any 2-word, 3-word, 4-word responses, and it will come out as a phrase. So Calicia, to address that concern you had, it's just about selecting the right poll type for your question or the responses that you want. Remember I said earlier that it's not just about the tool, but how you use the tool. So it's the same way here. So you're not going to use a word cloud, let's say if it's a phrase response you're looking for. Yeah, mango, man. And it have to be ripe or semi-ripe mango, not green mango. Eh? Plum, I think that's in season now, who knows? Apples, apple chow is good, eh? Half ripe, there we go. You guys know the thing, man. So this is a good way to really get your students involved or engaged. And if I were to show this as a presentation, we have to trust that the students would not use profanity. Yes, but you could always delete it. Huh? You could delete and start over or whatnot accordingly. All right. But yeah, generally, I mean, once you establish the netiquette guidelines and so on, and housekeeping rules, basically, then that should go throughout. All right. Now, if I wanted to keep it on this platform, not that I know of, Raquel, in terms of in this platform, but I do think you could select the response, and you see I highlighted mine here. I don't think you could delete individual responses, but you can clear all responses for sure. You could delete all responses, or you could lock it. So if you want to, if you notice that students are becoming very disrespectful, you might want to lock it. So you would see a little lock at the, but be careful when you lock it though, because what happens is, let me just move this. I'm trying to move this to the top. What happens is that sometimes when you lock it, you have to make sure you unlock it. So you would notice at the bottom of the screen, you would see a green unlocked padlock. All right. Those little buttons at the bottom of the screen are just quick settings. So if you want to clear the all responses, you could clear all responses. If you want to lock the poll, you could just click the padlock, make sure it's locked, and to unlock it, you just click the unlock version. If you want to edit the instructions, you can do so as well. All right. And the responses stay, you know, as long as you keep them uncleared. All right. If you want to make it like a full screen, like within this same web-based window, you could just click present at the top right side. and it goes big. So you see everything. So you don't necessarily have to show us, it's almost like PowerPoint. You go into slideshow mode or presenter mode versus within the small compartment. All right, let me just check the chat. All right, good. So Mr. Mohammed also said, yes, you can clear responses and lock the poll as well. So if you want to give students a particular time to respond, you can do that. So at 15 seconds to respond, at 20 seconds, you know, that could work as well. All right. So I think we're pretty good with poll everywhere. Let's go back to activities. I want to show you something very quickly. And this is one that we don't have to create it now, but I'm just going to show you where you can go. You can create a game using poll everywhere. So again, I'm going to click activity. And you see this little one right here, competition. This is where the action is. This is where, you know, now when you click competition, you're going to have to create a couple different questions and you give it a title and so on. So let's say if I were to say CETL championships. All right. And it functions, some of you may know Kahoot. I tend to use poll everywhere more often because I can do what you would normally do in Kahoot and more using poll everywhere. You get what I'm saying? So you could create a question. Let's say I'm just going to create 2 questions. They're usually multiple choice questions. What is the name of this webinar / workshop? All right. Cool tools, education. Now this one is a little different. Transitioning to Zoom. Javed, maybe. And we can even add a 3rd one. Mile. All right. And I can create another question as we see here, because remember it's a competition now that you're creating. So I could say, who is facilitating, hosting this webinar? And I could put FFA, FHE, add an option, CETL, CLTE, whatever that stands for. All right. And I'll create another question just so you see what it looks like. A 3rd question, which campus is the CETL STA located? Muna. Why my second letters only typing too quickly? Mona, Cave Hill, Five Islands, STE. All right. And thereafter, I simply click a scroll down and I click create. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to select the correct answer. My bad. So you see where this little tick is here? You click on that to make sure that you select the correct answer. All right. Because you have to tell the platform what is the correct answer so it can assign points accordingly. All right. So you click create. And there you have it. So let me just move this window now, back to down here. So this one is a little different, all right, in terms of how you share this link. What I normally do is just make sure everything is okay with the settings and so on. Adjust timer, yes, 20 minutes, 20 seconds, etc., etc., etc. Okay, good. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna go back to activities on the top right, top left side. All right. Because remember, you want the link now to share so participants could do just that, participate. So in this case, you would see in my case, well, over here, now you notice there's a link, a different link for every poll you create. So you know, just off of a quick look, you know that CETL Championships is a competition. What I do is just go here and click see response link. Sorry, let me just see responses. No, I don't want that. I want, let me open this up. And if I copy this link, just one sec. All right. If I click play, I don't think I shared the link with you yet. So let me get the link. Trying to get the link. And you can let me know if normally the link should be the same, but let's see. Some responses.
Dr. Z.
Yeah, I think I'm forgetting where I put the link.
When you open the championship, you could probably just copy and paste the link to the top of the window there, respond and
yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but it's not allowing me to do that. So what I'll do is
that's so strange. Okay,
yeah, so I'll just do it from here. All right. Let's see if this works. So you could let me know if you can, once you click on that link, it should, oh, it went to one person instead of all. And Mr. Mohammed, you could let me know if, and everybody, you could let me know if you get it from there.
Yeah, we're just waiting for you to start.
Great.
So
right. So just remember, guys, for the competition, like I said, it's a little different. You just go to the top here and you copy that. All right. Now, let me, before I go to that as well, you could get your link, if you forgot to copy it when you created it, you can get it from here as well, copy response link. But for the competition, it's a little different. All right. Okay, so let's go straight into it. I'll open the competition. And we get into it. So you should see the screen change on your end. For those of you who were in CETL, this looks familiar, so now you know how I did it. And if you have music, you could play background music. All right. So let's get straight into it. What is the name of this webinar or workshop? And you have 20 seconds to respond. You see the time on the left side there, bottom left side. Is it Cool Tools in Education, Transitioning to Zoom, or My E-Learning? And you would notice on the right side on my screen, you have total results, 13 persons responded so far. And good, time is up. And all you have to do to transition to the different slides, you simply just click on the screen. So 100% said Cool Tools in Education. Good. So we have that. Click again. So this is the scoreboard. And we have, okay, good, Alana. So now the thing about this is not just accuracy in terms of the right answer, but it's also speed. So we have Alana in first place. She got it first. And we have, of course, Letitia and Chris, Hulk smash. I'm afraid to ask who that is, but anyway. Right, who is facilitating or hosting this webinar? Is it Faculty of Food and Agriculture, Faculty of Humanities and Education, Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, or CLTE? Right, we have 14 responses so far, 5 seconds. And normally when I'm using this game, I play a little background music, but I'm not, all right, it's just a demonstration. CETL, 100%. So let's see who got it correct first. Alana, that's you again, along with Hulk and Chris and Letitia. All right, last question. Which campus is the CETL STA located? Excuse my lack of a punctuation there. The question mark, sorry. Is it Mona, Cave Hill, Five Islands, or STA? 17 results in so far. And let's see this now. 100% said STA, and you are absolutely correct. So look at this now, because this is the last question. And now we have the confetti and Alana and Chris and Letitia, and of course, all the marks there. All right, so that's how you use the championship or competition or game in Pool Everywhere. I think I want to believe that, Mr. Mohammed, you are Hulk Smash, no? But we see here, I'm not sure what happened to Alana, maybe her internet.
No, I just wanted to show that point that if I didn't answer, I'll be out of it.
You wanted to give Mr. Mohammed a chance. I know. Very good. So this is how you can use Poll Everywhere. I didn't plan to go into the competition aspect of it, but I figured it would be a nice thing to show you. All right, any questions on Poll Everywhere? All right, good. So
can I just ask one question quickly?
You go
I
right
saw something about activate. You have to
Mhm.
activate some of those activities, but we didn't actually do that. What is that about?
Right. So when you create a poll, it will ask you, well, by default, it's set to activate, right? So activate means that persons could, once you put the link, persons can participate in that poll. If it's not activated, then it's almost like you lock the poll. So persons cannot respond to it, and it wouldn't show up on there. And even if you share the link, or even if they use the link again, they can't respond to it because you locked the poll. Yeah. So to activate it means that and it's, if you're on the home page, it's this little button here that you see with almost like a frequency button. So it means that other persons will be able to respond to your poll. Yeah.
Okay, great. I just didn't see us activate anything, but we were using it, so I was a little confused.
Because by default it's activated. But if you, let's say after you use it and you want to deactivate it, you simply click here and deactivate it.
Thanks.
All right, no problem at all. Any other questions?
Dr. Z, if I may. So with regards to the activate, if you decide to embed your poll or activity in My Learning, in order for students to access it without you having to go to Poll Everywhere and activate, once you leave it activated, students could respond to that poll without you being there.
Yes.
In Poll Everywhere, yeah.
Exactly. All right, but if you want to control, you want to have a little bit more control, then you might just remember to deactivate. It's almost like you lock in your house when you're not there, or your car when you're not there. If you're okay with persons using it when you're not there, that's perfectly fine and up to you. All right, so let's move on very quickly. I know we digress into the competition part of it, but I just figured you would definitely like that aspect of it. All right, and I think we went through those questions already. So Bubblus. Bubblus is the next tool we're gonna look at. And Bubblus is a sort of mind mapping tool. It facilitates brainstorming, it facilitates a bit of graphic design if it's something that a process, like you wanna create a process image, or a series of steps, or even a cause and effect relationship. Or if it's let's say an organizational plan or structure, all these things you can use using Bubblus. Similar to Poll Everywhere, it's web-based, it's mobile-friendly. I believe you could collaborate on it now. It's free, but the free version, this is where you have the little caveat here. The free version only allows for a very limited number of mind mapping not platforms, pages. All right, and you'll see what I mean in just a bit. So let's get straight into it. we're going to go to Bubblus. I don't know if Mr. Mohammed, you want to provide the link there? Bubblus.us. All right. Bubblus.us /. If not, let me know and I could provide it as well. Okay, there you go. And once you go to that page, it's going to prompt you to log in or to create an account, sorry, in Bubblus. All right. Paste it here. So you know it's a hyperlink, so it should, right, good. So once you click on that, it should take you straight to, right, thanks so much, Mr. Mohammed. And it'll take you straight to Bubblus. I know it sounds weird, but when you open it up, you'll see exactly why it's called Bubblus. And maybe how I'm pronouncing it too, it just sounds weird, but all right. So the first thing you want to do is sign in. So I'll create a new account while we're here as well, on another account. So we'll do it together. So let's create a username. In this case, I will create one for myself. All right. Password. Click sign in. Oh, I think it's picking up. I wonder if I used this password already. Let's use another email address.
You may need to share the screen if you're planning to share that screen.
Oh, you're not seeing my screen? Oh,
No,
snap. I'm sorry.
Just seeing the presentation.
Okay, all right. Just give me 1 sec. So you should see a screen that looks something like this. Yeah. And what you're going to do is click register. It's very similar to you're not going to click sign in because you have to create an account, register. And similar to the other one, you want to put your name. You call it Justin Z. Email address. And thanks so much for that, Mr. Mohammed. And we create our password. All right. Now it's a free basic plan. And if you think that, especially persons who may be in geography and engineering and these things, this comes in very handy because it's more than just mind mapping and that sort of thing. It's literally, and I'll show you some that I created in another account maybe, but it can go really, really far. So once you click register, it will take you to, right, straight to this. Now, you could determine, now the little thing you heard there is just for me to verify my account. I'll do that in a little bit, but these are the different ways in which things can be laid out. All right, so you have affinity map, brainwriting, so that would facilitate like brainstorming sort of thing. Grid layout, sorry, circle layout, maybe for cause and effect relationships. Like I did a whole graph, a whole one of these to show the causes of flooding in Trinidad. So if it's an organizational chart, as we see it here, or any sort of flow chart that you might have, that works as well. I think the site map, that's what I use for cause and effect relationships and so on. So I'm going to use the site map, all right, or the circle layout. Anyone is fine with me. And you could select anyone, and it literally gives you a template, and you just have to type in any one. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't expand it. It just means that it gives you something to start with. So you don't have to start from scratch, basically. Now, to put any text in the graphic, all you have to do is click in the middle of the graphic, right? And double click inside there. And you could start typing whatever text you want to put. So let's say, I'll do it again, causes of or effects of flooding. All right. Now, if you want this to look a little bigger, you just highlight it just as you would in a Word document. You can make it bold. You can change the text type or text size. So if I want it a little bigger, right? If I want to make it hyperlinked, I could do that. If I want to make it change the color, I could do that. I don't have to do that now, of course. Like I said, if I wanted to find, let's say I put a link, flooding. All right. And it's just something, it's just, we don't have to do it like this, but I'm just showing you one way in which you can use it. So I want to put a link here, enter URL. Uh-oh, I don't think I copied the correct link, but you get the gist of it. You enter the URL and
from monsoon rate,
and it comes up there. All right. And I insert. All right. I think it just. All right. So it's a good way to, a little bit of information if they need to click and get that bit there. I could make it maybe center it a bit. There we go. All right. So that's that. And now if you scroll up or down, it's just going to make it bigger or smaller. So it's like a zoom in, zoom out situation. To see different parts of the canvas, you're going to have to click anywhere off on the right side and drag it up or down. All right. So that's that. I'm going to click on another bubble to insert maybe one of the effects of flooding. So let's say damage to property. All right, and I could make all of them big enough to I could make this 2 and make this center. All right, I could put another one here, loss of, let's say economic loss or economic strain. Oh no, outbreak of diseases. All right, so are we following? Yeah, so far so good. I could put another one here. Let's see, anybody could help me. Randy, I know you, I think Randy is here.
Loss of crops.
Loss of crops. All right. Make that center. Loss of life. Oh yes, erosion. Let's say I want to put, if I wanted to make a sub, there was something I was going to put there and I can't remember. Economic strain. Right. I could even put here disruption of, right, Chris, right, time for cleaning up and so on. I could also put here disruption of services or necessities. You get where I'm going with that? All right. So let's say I use these six causes. From here, let's say if I wanted to bring a subsidiary cause, sorry, a subsidiary effect. Let's say damage to property may mean, sorry, let me just delete this. I don't want this one. And I would want to, no, I don't want that. I want,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So let me just drag it over here. Good. And okay, I'll move my chat box. And I could say soil erosion, as Mr. Mohammed just said, soil erosion. All right. Now you could see how this would benefit even the visual types of learners and so on. Yeah? Soil erosion, I could say landslides. Yeah. So let me just fix that. All right, and now you notice the color has changed from yellow to, I think this is a kind of neon, ladies, you could help me with this, neon green, no, not neon green, what, fluorescent green, to a different type of green, and more, by landslide, we reach green, right? So, so you see where it goes from there. So we have that. Then we have here, let's say disruption of services, same thing. I click on the child, I could say loss of electricity. All right. And then I could say after that, loss of drinking water. Not lost, but you get what I'm saying. Then I could say I don't know what else. Closure of schools, etc. All right, and we get what you understand what I'm saying there. Now let's say I wanted to connect something, let's say loss of drinking water to this, to outbreak of diseases. I can easily do that. So to do that, I simply click on the arrow connecting line. All right, and I could connect, sorry, let me get, come on, man. Trying to connect, it's not moving. All right, well, I'll do it from this side. Oh, there we go. So, all right, so I just connected, bring this out of it. So I just connected outbreak, loss of drinking water to outbreak of diseases. You saw that, right? I can also connect landslides or soil erosion or damage to property to loss of crops. And I could always bend this to suit, to make it a little more, you know. And then I could say economic strain is linked to loss of crops, or loss of crops is linked to economic strain. So let me just change this arrow a little bit.
Hi, Dr. Zephyrine.
Yeah.
Alicia, I have a question. I'm not sure if you answered it already. Could we increase or decrease number of bubbles?
Yes, Alicia. So that's actually what I was doing. So you could increase the number of bubbles. Let me just finish it. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
As well. So Alicia, I was increasing the bubbles here. So we only had like 6 bubbles around effects of flooding. And then I elaborated on damage of properties, soil erosion, landslides. Likewise, at the bottom here, disruption of services, loss of electricity, loss of drinking water, school closures, etc. So yes, you can increase the number of bubbles. If I wanted to add an outlier bubbles per se, because I might just be brainstorming, I just right click new bubble, and I could say social upheavals. All right. And I might realize, hey, but you know, this might be linked to economic strain and disruption of services. So I could link it to, I could link this to that as well. Yeah. And they're both related anyways, and I could link this. So now that this now is connected to the main bubble. And I could also say this is connected to this. I'll do it over. It's connected to this. Yeah.
Okay, I think she's probably, yeah, she said she meant the first tier. So I guess the center, so you could probably show her how to.
All right. So let's say if I wanted to create, so you wanted to create the first tier bubbles, I could do that as well. Create new bubble. And let's say, or instead of doing it like that, sorry, let me do it a different way, just to show you. If I went here, I click tab, and it will open in the same tier of bubbles on that side. So, and I could drag this accordingly. So there are different ways you could do it. Let's say political unrest. I'm just, and I can drag this bubble eventually, but let me just, I could change the color to whatever the others will. I could find that color. But you get the gist, all right? And if I link this to this, I know it's looking a little confusing now because it's so many, and I can link this to this, all right? Now let me just change the kind of arrow that we have here. All right, now if I wanted to tweak that kind of arrow, I could also do that with a straight line, sharp, curve. So if I wanted to do a straight line like these, I can do that as well. All right. And if I wanted it to be, let's say, different, the thickness of it, I can do that as well. All right. I could change the color of the arrow as well. I could change the weight of the arrow as well. And the text as well, sorry. All right. There was a way where you could get the color of the center bubble will remain what it is, even though I created a new bubble. The whole gist of it is that the center bubble should remain, every tier of bubble gets a slightly different shade of color. So you know exactly what's the center, what's the main thing, the main point, and the subsidiary points that come after that. Yeah, so if I were to scroll back, now you see why scrolling is the way to navigate through this. So you see what it looks like here. Let me scroll up a little more. So you see effects of flooding leads to damage of properties, soil erosion, and landslides. It can lead to disruption of services, which could impact loss of electricity, loss of drinking water. It can cause social upheavals, which is also linked to economic strain due to loss of crops and landslides and so on. So you get the gist of it, yeah? Any other questions? So before I go to adding anything else in the bubble, if you wanted to delete bubbles, you can do that as well. You just click on the bubble and hit delete. Click again and hit the X button. Now I can also attach a file. So let's say if I wanted to attach something, let's say I'm looking for, okay, let's say plagiarism. And so a file is attached there. So when you send this to students, or you could have students create this. Now this is how you could fold these tools into your thing. Poll everywhere is something that you would kind of facilitate, or you might guide students on, or you might embed it into your course site. With Bubbleless, students can create their Bubbleless and share it with you or others. They could collaborate on Bubbleless together, or you can create a mind map using Bubbleless, or some sort of structure using Bubbleless, or process using Bubbleless, and share it with students. And once you share it with them, they get access to the link, not just the points that we see here, damage a property, etc., but they get access to videos that you might want to attach, or even other files as we see here. Yeah. So now it's automatically saved. All the things that we add to our canvas here, it's saved. Now you might want to probably export it, for example. So you might want to save it as, yes, Javed. I've actually used it, well, once I download the image, I use it as a graphic to store in other platforms, such as your course site. So you can save it as a JPG or PNG. I like PNG images as well. All right. And it will just take a couple of minutes. And I'll probably have to open another window to share it. Let me just show you what it looks like. So if I stop sharing this screen and I show you another screen. So let me see. No, it's not appearing here. All right, that's okay. Just give me 1 sec. Let me find. So once you save that, now it opened in another window that is not picking up here, but that's okay. You can also print it, present it in a full screen mode. And of course, you can give it your title. So I don't think I gave it a title yet, but it's saved nonetheless. And let me just find my, give me 1 sec. This, because I have multiple things open right now with Zoom. Okay, so if I go to, open this with, okay, good. So I'm going to show you what it looks like now. All right. Now, this is, of course, a very draft, very much a draft. Now look at, it's an image, so the link is not live in the image, but you get, if I shared it with as an HTML, it would be live, right, or active. So let's go back to this screen. All right. HTML outline, plain text, backup, etc., and I have it all there. Now, if I wanted to fit everything, because sometimes your what you call it, mind map or that graphic might be pretty big, and you want to fit it in, you could zoom in or zoom out, and you could squeeze it to fit like that. All right, you just click that button at the left side, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to see what the history was like in terms of the, let's say they collaborated on this mind map, and you want to see what the history was about, of course, you're going to have to upgrade, but it's just like a Google Doc. You can see the history there. if you wanted to undo, so let's say you created your bubblers and you realized it was going a different, you made a mistake, you could undo just as you would with a Word document. All right. So any other questions on bubblers? No? And I can rename it as I'm saving it because it's saved automatically. Effects of flooding, so I can save it as that. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go straight into, let me go back into this. I think someone was asking about something just now. I can't remember what it was. All right. But if you'd like to share your bubblers as well, you can also share it, the embed link. All right. Where you can store the, you can embed this graphic in or this canvas into your course site in My Learning, or you can just share the link. So if you want to share the link, you can just click copy link and paste it in the chat. So I'm going to paste mine in the chat now, and feel free to paste yours so we can see it there. All right. If it's if you want to enable editing, then that's another you have to upgrade for that. But I don't think you need that. Once a person has a Bubblers account and so on, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so I think that's about it for Bubblers. I see we don't have any questions. I don't know if anybody has a Bubblers to share. No? They need me to show you how to share Bubblers again or no? Okay, I think we're pretty good. So far, so good, right? So we're doing pretty good. So I think we did all of these instructions here. We created an account. We created a mind map using Bubblers. We converted our mind map into a shareable image, and we shared our mind map with others. All right. And even if you're still, I don't know if you're still looking for your shareable link, please let me know, and so I can help you there how to share the link to your Bubblers. All right. The next thing is, well, you said you don't have any questions, it's Flipsnack. Now, some of you may have heard me talk about Flipsnack already. It's a web-based platform again, and allows you to create very, very visually pleasing, audibly pleasing too, secure content that can be even embedded into your course sites and so on. Now, it allows you to create flipbooks out of basic PDF file, the PDFs, PowerPoints, etc. So what you're going to do is create, or you don't even have to create. If you have a PDF document in your, wherever that might be stored on your computer, I want you to use that. So make sure you can find that now, and I'll just talk through some of these points while you locate a file. It must be a PDF, all right, because it's going to be easier if it's a PDF. So whether it's a PowerPoint, a case study document you may have found somewhere or have, anything of that sort, once it's a PDF. So with Flipsnack, it allows you to convert PDFs into flipbooks. These, of course, it's something that caters to different types of learners. So it caters to the visual learners because it's, you know, you have that visual stimuli. And then, of course, the audio persons who, it's almost like, you know, like a digital flipbook. And then, of course, the kinesthetic persons who may like to create a flipbook for themselves. And then, of course, the reading material, because there's text, there may be pictures and so on in your flipbook. So it's multimodal, yes. but it can also be embedded into your course site. For those of you like Alicia who have gone through CETL, you may have seen I use Flipbooks for overviews of modules or course overviews or module reviews, etc., because it might just be a flipbook of the salient points of the course or the module or what have you. So, and it allows for independent learning, for participants, your learners, to engage in quick reviews or revision practices to reinforce what was taught in the class. And it's also a good way for, you know, what is traditionally called lecture notes. You can make your lecture notes into a flipbook, so you don't have to give all of the information from your lectures into your, and just put them on My Learning for everybody to take and do whatever. So it also addresses that issue of intellectual property. All right. So I know I told you to create a PowerPoint presentation and so on, but I think if you have a PDF already, that's perfectly fine. So you don't need to convert anything into a PDF. But if you have a PowerPoint and you want to know how to create a PowerPoint into a PDF, by all means, this would be the process. You open your PowerPoint, you click File, which is at the top right side, top left side. You click Save As, and then you would see Save As Type, as in the graphic here. And then you just scroll down and click PDF. All right, so everyone has a PDF, was able to pull up a PDF or locate a PDF on your machine? Yeah? Everyone? Okay, great, great. All right, nice. So this makes it even faster to do. So what I want you to do is go to www.flipsnack.com. So I'll type it in the chat. All right, let me see if I could make it hyperlink. I don't know if Java, do you want to put it as a hyperlink there, or you want me to do it?
Go ahead, I'll handle it.
Okay. Let's bring this here. All right, so Flipsnack is, I know I had it open somewhere, but it's just been blocked. Okay, good. Thanks so much, Mr. Mohammed. All right, so once you're there, you're gonna you're gonna click try for free. Try for free. All right, as you see in the graphic here. So you click try for free. And that is going to take you to a page where you can create your account. Again, the same protocol. You're going to put a name, first name, last name, email address, password. It can be the same email address you did from before. So Alana, if you're using your Google account or whatnot, it's easier for you as well. All right. So this was a breeze for you, right, Alana? No, I'm very much a Google person. Mr. Mohammed is much more of a Microsoft person. So we try to balance off each other fairly well, hopefully. Yes, less password. All right, so good. So we have that. Has everyone created their account? Once you've created your account, you'll get an email notification just to verify your account. Yeah. So I'll give a couple minutes for that. And you can let me know when you've gotten through. Everyone is good? You can tell me. All right, I hope everyone is good because you're awfully quiet. All right, so let's go forward. So I trust that you were able to create your account and did the verification. Yeah. So we're going straight ahead into the next step. Sorry, let me go back before I took format. So let me just share my screen so you see exactly how to do it. So once you create your, let me just close some of these because I have quite a bit of things here. Okay, so I have this one here, these couple ones here. And what we're gonna do is create, I'm just gonna delete some of them if you don't mind. And because there's a limit to what you can use here. So I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna delete this one. Where's my delete button? Move to trash. All right. And all I need to do is click upload PDF. All right. And I simply drag and drop my PDF file to where into this little dotted line or on this upload file button. So let's say I want to do, let me see if I could find a PDF. And just looking for a PDF here. Right, so let's use this one. And it will process it. Now you can see my screen, right? Yeah. No problem, Letitia. All right. And it's very, very easy to use. So you see, once it's processed there, you simply click next. And you have your flipbook is being processed. So the next thing you want to do is kind of change the look and feel of it a little bit. So appearance and branding on the left side, you're going to click on that. And you can determine what color you want the background to be. I tend to like a little pop of color. It doesn't change the background of the immediate text, but it will change the background of the surrounding text, like the frame of it. All right, so because remember, if it changes the background of the immediate text, it could affect the readability of the content, which is what you don't want. I also want to put a hardcover effect, and notice what it's looking like now. And when I click on the hardcover effect, so the book suddenly has a spine. All right, so it makes it more of a book appearance. Now, if you have a PowerPoint, this looks even more pleasing. All right, because it's a free version, there's only so much you could do, but that's perfectly fine for me, at least. Controls, I go to controls, but I wanted to go to navigate manually or automatically. I tend to like to do it manually. So that's okay with me. Then I go to other, and I go to, instead of auto flip pages, which is what I was just talking about, I go to flip sounds. So I leave auto flip pages off. So unless you think that you can leave it on, it'll just flip automatically every 10 seconds or so. I tend to leave that off. And that's it. And once you have that, let me just click remind me later, because that's something I don't need open right now. And once you do that, this is what it looks like. So let me, yeah. And that's it for that book. And even if I wanted to go full screen, I click full screen and I'm trying to get full screen, but there's an icon blocking me here. So what I do, once you click share now, all right, you click share now, and it says publish your work. Now let me say one thing, it doesn't mean that everyone on earth could find your flipbook. So you want to be mindful of that. All right. You click publish, and persons, whoever you share the link with, will be able to access your flipbook. So you click publish, and you automatically get a link to your flipbook. So I can share this link with you now because it's actually one of the university documents that everyone should know. All right, so I pasted the link for you in the chat. And like I said, this is one way that even though you might use it for persons to see your content, but they wouldn't be able to download your content. All right. If you wanted to embed it into your course site, I can show you that very quickly, maybe as a bonus after the workshop, because I'm looking at the time as well. All right. But it's very, very easy. You simply, I can explain it to you. You go to the embed, get the embed link. Now the embed code is a little longer than normal link. You copy the embed code and you paste it in you go to open a label, create a label in your course site in My Learning, and you paste that link there, and that's it. I'll open one of my courses and you'll see what the link looks like, what the embedded feature looks like. All right. And that's basically it for Flipsnack. Any questions? All right, so we have a very, very short exercise, and it's probably just going to take us not even 5 minutes to do. We were gonna, if we had more time, we would probably do it in a group, but as a breakout group activity. But I think we can do this together for everyone's sake or learning in this regard. So I'll just probably type the notes on the slide. So let's select a topic of some sort. I would put in the text, and so let's select a topic, and then you tell me. So I'll just put that there, topic. Anybody? And we'll do it together. We'll do one plan together. So what's a topic you might use? Let's say making chow or chow making, since that was the talk of the right. We might have a learning outcome, which may state, by the end of this session, you will be able to create a flavorful chow, right? So you have both a topic and a learning outcome. Yeah? So far, so good. So now we're going to look at what would be one of the technology tools. So we know that we want to get them to create a flavorful chow. What would be a technology tool to get them to do that? Out of what we looked at today, remember we looked at Flipsnack, we looked at Bubbleless, and what was the other platform we looked at? Poll Everywhere. So in your lesson, just think of it, and it's not a full lesson plan we're doing, but just think of how you can fold this in when you're teaching how to make a chow. Anybody?
I would use Bubbleless as a and do it as the process.
Okay, Bubbleless.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually pretty good. I didn't think of that. Okay.
Mm.
I'm just typing it in anything, highlight the process. Mm-hmm. So it's really a tech tool plan we're creating, I'm just saying, so you know exactly what this is about. So we use Bubblers to create to highlight the process. Anything else? To show video using a link, then ask it to identify.
Use Paul Everywhere to get suggestions how to improve the job.
For suggestions on chow improvement. And even we could say how to get it, if they ever made a chow. Yeah? Suggestions on chow improvement. And
background information. Have you made a chow? How hot do you want it?
Background info.
What fruit?
Yes, exactly. Right, what fruits? Let me see if I could get some space here. Let me see. I could probably put, no, this is too much to put on that side. I'll just squeeze it in somewhere. All right. And then you could even use...
students know how to make chow, boy.
Boy, you'd be surprised, eh? But look, yeah. You put ketchup and mustard. I just say.
No, we made chow growing up so much. I don't think this generation know much about it other than just buying chow.
True.
That is why you're going to use Flipsnack to publish your recipe.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And you know, I'm glad that you are here, Charmin, because as somebody who is what to say, you police the availability and access to online information. And you know what I'm talking about, Charmin. Something like Flipsnack, I think, would be right up your alley in terms of to prevent the misuse or I don't know how to say it. You can explain it better than I can. You go right ahead.
How do you mean? Taking other people's work and publishing it as your own?
I was going to say stealing information, but I couldn't think of a more diplomatic way to say.
And copyright, what you actually publish. Of course, you have to be careful about those things.
Exactly.
And if you're putting out something that's your own, make sure and put copyright on it.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Precisely. So you heard it from the lady herself. Eh? So, all right. And I think with Flipsnack, persons can't really steal your information as easily because it's a link. So it's not downloaded where they can.
They're screenshots.
Yeah, they're screenshots. So that's what I'm saying. It's not as easy as where they can take it and download it and
copy and paste.
Yeah, but it's a screenshot they can use, and they're probably gonna, if you have your, or they can even write it over, but that's more trouble that they're gonna go through. At least if they try to use the stuff. It doesn't make sense.
You cannot steal it as easily. All right.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. All right. So look at this here, guys. Look at what we did. We did a tech tool plan. The topic was chow making or making a chow. We had a learning outcome, which is to create a flavorful chow. And in this, and the reason it's a tech tool plan because it's just focusing on the technology tools and how you're going to use them. Remember, it's not just a tool, but how you use it. Someone said poll everywhere for ingredients. I just saw that. Sorry. An improvement, ingredients. And even Flipsnack can be used for ingredients as well with the recipe. All right. So we did a whole tech tool plan where we did poll everywhere for competition. I like that, Alana. You're thinking. I like that. So bubblers to highlight the process. So I don't know what the process is, would be what? To gather the ingredients, cut up whatever you're going to cut up, whatever fruit you might be using, mix the ingredients together, let sit, allow it to soak a little bit, and then consume, correct? I guess that's the process. And of course, poll everywhere for suggestions on how it can be improved, how to evaluate it. If you're doing a blended context, you could test it and evaluate it and poll everywhere, get the ingredients, information on if they ever made chow before, instead of buying it by the traffic light from the nearest person. And of course, Flipsnack to show maybe the process and also the recipe. All right. So good job, everyone. Thank you so much for that. So I don't know if you have any further questions, but let me just delete this actual part. Anyways, I'll leave that for now. Let me erase the annotation. Or Javid, would you want to erase that, please, if you don't mind, so I could go through the objectives, the recap. So we do have a evaluation link in the chat. So if you click on that, you're just going to give us some very quick feedback, you know, that would help us improve what we do, what you liked, what you didn't like, what we could do differently to serve you more effectively. But just as you do that, we do have just a recap here. You are now able to describe cool tools, which, remember, they're fresh, easy to use, and enhance the teaching and learning process, right? So those are the three things. You're able to produce a poll or polls using Poll Everywhere. And I would venture to say you even created a game/competition using Poll Everywhere. Then we looked at we created electronic flipbooks using Flipsnack. That's 2 or 3. Then we use Bubblers in the creation of mind maps and processes and flowcharts and so on. And of course, we looked at these tools and how we can appropriately fold them into course delivery and instruction. All right. So we definitely set out, we accomplished what we set out to do. I don't know if you have any further questions. Feel free to ask any questions. Even if you don't have them now, we would be happy. You could send an email and we'd be happy to answer them as well. All right. There's also the feedback, the evaluation survey link that Mr. Duku placed in the chat. We'd be really, really happy and appreciative for that feedback. And that was just in case you fell asleep. So we do have that evaluation that would help us improve what we do. Or if we did something that resonated with you, we can keep doing it. All right. So if you need any help or assistance, you can definitely contact us. You can contact me at justin.zephyrine@sta.uwi.edu. You can contact Mr. Mohammed as well, javid.mohammed@sta.uwi.edu. I think in any case, it's the 2 J's, and now realize that Mr. Mohammed, Javid, Justin and Javid. So either way, once you put a J, you're gonna either see either one of our names or both. So, so as you go forward, colleagues, definitely keep your learning, teaching and learning creative, practical, make it collaborative. Again, it's all about usability, accessibility, fit for purpose, and those sorts of things. And we look forward to seeing you at our next session. All right. Just to invite you as well, or to remind you that we do have our UE Guardian Group Teaching Award ceremony that is scheduled for Thursday. It's going to be streamed live. If you need the link or you need the invitation, we can resend it to you. It went out to Academic Hall, but in case you missed it, you feel free to send us an email and we will be happy to send those things to you. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and do have a great afternoon. Also, don't forget